Well, hi guys, I hope you're all doing well. I'm not sure why we're all here, but I think I've got a pretty special episode lined up for today. It's the anniversary episode! Whoa!
Yeah! Let's go! Let's get it, baby! Number one! To the core! Let's go!
Well, I'm knackered. I'm off to bed.
Happy birthday!
Welcome to the Galactic Core Podcast. Here to review the latest films and TV shows from all your favorite intergalactic universes. Now, it's time to get your geek on. Please welcome your host, the prophesized chosen one. It's Andy.
Well, welcome everyone to the Galactic Core Podcast anniversary episode. 1 year of me doing the most pointless podcast in all of history. But I have got some very special friends to join me for this celebration of what I've been able to do over the last year. So some great podcasts that I've been able to go on, that I've made friends with, and the best of the best, no offense to all the other podcasts, but the best of the best are here today to celebrate with you. I'm going to go around, we're going to get everyone introduced to you, and so you know who you're dealing with. You've seen them all before on the show, you've heard them all before. The greatest, the best of the best. Let's start off with welcoming Michael from Star Wars. How you doing, Michael?
So excited to be here, Andy. Happy birthday to the Galactic Core Podcast. Super honored that I could be here. I feel like I remember when you had messaged me, like, I think I'm doing it. I'm going in, and I was like, do it, dive head first. So it's so awesome to see how far you've come as well in the podcasting game. So much congratulations to you. My name is Michael. I'm from the Star Wars Podcast. We talk all things Marvel and Star Wars. Kind of in a transitional period from going from weekly episodes to monthly episodes, but we'll have one out here pretty soon. So thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure. I mean, we met first and foremost before I'd even had a podcast, to be fair, when I was invited as a guest on other Marvel stuff. And then, yeah, you had me on mine a couple of weeks before mine actually kicked off. So always grateful to you, Michael. You've always been a good inspiration. So pleasure to have you on. And then next up, Clan Brandolorian. Brandon, me and you have become good homies. You've got a Star Wars podcast. Tell everyone about yourself and the podcast.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. Wouldn't want to be, anywhere else celebrating a good podcast for its anniversary episode. And for those who didn't know, the very first time I was invited to be on a podcast, it was on the Galactic Core Podcast. So Andy always gets a huge shout out for kind of helping me start my thing. And so ultimately I kind of wanted to do the YouTube thing. My name's Brandon, Clan Brandolorian, and I know Andy knew that it was going to be Brando Calrissian, but I backed off of that. So rocking with Clan Brandolorian, been doing it for almost a year as well, and decided to kind of talk everything lore, theory, Funko, Lego, kind of show off the collection a little bit. And then we also do have a weekly podcast on my channel as well called Clan Brandolorian, the podcast. But yeah, pretty much everything Star Wars from episode 1 or maybe the Acolyte all the way to the new Rey movies. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Absolutely. Brandon, you and I have extra reason to celebrate because we've both got kids on the way.
Yeah.
They're going to be, I think, only born a few weeks apart, so maybe we'll be podcasting together with our kids strapped to our chest.
That'd be tight.
Right on the front.
But yeah. Yeah, literally right. Screaming down the microphone for food. It's absolutely fine. But congratulations, Brandon. On a little one on the way. I know
congrats.
you had your reveal party today. I don't know if you're announcing it to the wider world, but I also found out this week what I'm having as well. So, are you announcing it at all? Are we going to go for it, or are you keeping that private for now?
Yeah, it's a little Brandolorian. It's a boy.
Hey!
Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you.
Yes.
I am having a little girl.
Right.
So,
Awesome.
Yay!
I just want to
Beautiful.
say, as a father here, welcoming you guys into the father club, there's the best of both worlds. I really wanted a boy. I ended up with a boy and a girl twins. So they're both great in their own ways. So
No way.
That's
and,
awesome.
Excited
Nice.
to see. Yeah.
Lucky.
lovely.
I ended up with
Thank you.
twins too there, Michael. That's crazy. Twin
All
boys.
right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they just turned 2.
I just got my dog. That's it for me right now.
Hey, that's a handful right there.
Yeah, that's just as big as a responsibility as a human.
Well, yeah. Can't let them starve and
Half
fend
the
for
cost,
themselves.
though.
Can you say?
Same thing.
Kids and dogs, same thing.
Less diapers.
Yeah, love.
Yeah.
But then next on our list, we have got the fantastic Lee from Lights Camera Rant. He's always been willing to jump on the show whenever's needed. He's done a lot of last-minute recordings with me, bless him. He's probably been on the show more than anyone else. But welcome to the show, Lee. How you doing?
I'm going good, man. Congratulations on your 1 year anniversary. You have been smashing it since day one. And you're right. I think there's at least 3 episodes that we've done together that have been organized in the last 24 hours going, hey, what are you doing? Nothing. I need a guest right now, done. And you've always been accommodating on a time difference too. So I give you absolute props for that. And it's always, every time I've been a guest on your show or vice versa, it's always been a pleasure. And I'm always amazed by your wealth of knowledge on the Star Wars. And yes, you do give me crap that I haven't watched Clone Wars every time. But no, it's good that you hit your 1 year anniversary. And look how quickly, which I think we can all say, how quickly that 1 year goes.
Yeah.
Of just wow, 52 weeks, how many episodes, and your new intro and outro also looks fantastic as well.
Yeah.
It does.
Well, to be fair, you inspired that one because I took it from the guy that did your voiceover and video work. So.
It's sounds very familiar, but it's cool. But no,
it wasn't too bad.
No, it's done a good job, man. And for me, my name's Lee. I host the Lights Camera Rant podcast. We talk about movies, TV shows, video games, and we post our episodes weekly. And so far, we're up to 148 weeks in a row. I have no life. This is it. I can't wait to see what you're going to do in the next 12 months, man.
Hopefully a big year to come. But thank you, Lee, for being here. Much appreciated. And last but no means least, 2 out of the 3 fantastic, most beautiful looking podcast guys that we've ever seen. We've got Caleb and JD from Why So Sidious. How you doing, guys?
Woo!
Hey, what's up?
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having us here. This is a jam-packed episode with a stacked cast. I know Dave's been on your podcast probably the most out of the 3 of us. That's why it's pretty messed up he's not here right now. I'll definitely give him some crap for it. But yeah, we've been on Star Wars and Lights Camera Rant before. I guess we need to do a collab with Clan Brandolorian to complete the Trinity here, So
Absolutely.
yeah. But yeah, great to be here.
Yeah, it's been too long, Andy. Last time we were on with me and you it was Loki, I think, and we also planned another kind of comic review or something. But yeah, I had some technical difficulties, but that was, it's always such a pleasure. You always ask the best questions that really get a conversation started. It's always a blast. The enthusiasm you bring, the hard work, the late hours or early hours, like Lee said, accommodating others. It's awesome, man. So I'm really happy to meet you, and congratulations on the podcast. Congratulations on the pregnancy. So, yeah, good to be here.
I appreciate all of you for what you've done in terms of supporting me and getting on the show and getting me on your shows as well. It's always been fantastic. Always have a laugh, and I can't imagine not doing this show anymore. So thank you all. Let's have a really fun recording session, and we've got a few different things that we're going to go through today. We're going to be chatting about favourite films and TV shows of the decade. We've got best and worst of Star Wars and Marvel DC. We've got a couple of quizzes to do. We're pitting some of you against each other, and we're going to finish off our episode with chatting about what we think is the best ever film in fandom, which could be controversial. I think there's going to be a few interesting debates across this episode, so we're going to jump in first and foremost with the best fandom film or TV show of the decade so far. So 2020 up to 2024. Lee, why don't you get us started? What have you got on your list for this?
I've got Obviously, I'm going to be favoritism. I think Marvel is the best fandom, and it's not as toxic as Star Wars can sometimes be, depending. But the best, this was a good thing. It was like best movie of the decade, and from all I could think of was not just to be really quickly, but I think Oppenheimer is probably the best movie for the past 4 years, as in like an epic film altogether. Which, in saying that, Dune's only just dropped a month ago, and that's set another completely different record altogether. But for superhero movie wise, if we're looking like that, I probably had Spider-Man No Way Home. It's probably the biggest one in the past 4 years.
Nice, yeah.
Because it's rare. Yeah, past 4 years have to be that. Because Endgame was 2019. But yeah, Spider-Man No Way Home and just a movie by itself is Oppenheimer. That'd probably be my 2 top picks.
Nice. I did have No Way Home on my list, to be fair, of potentials for the decade. So I think the emotional reaction it got from the audience definitely puts it up there.
Yeah.
Brandon, what have you got on your list?
And this is in the last 10 years, right? Decade.
2020 to now, the decade so far.
God damn,
I misunderstood as well. I was thinking the last 10 years.
I
Both of my
asked
picks
Dave
are
about
not
that.
of the 2020. So
Okay. Well,
I was about to
that's
say,
why I
can
like
we
the
get
past 4 years. I was like, okay,
I'm working on some replacements. Though.
Because it was decades so far.
Yeah.
man?
So everyone's list just became really short.
Nice to see everyone read my notes really carefully there. Thanks,
I'm a sucker, dude. I went ahead and got on, I believe it was HBO Max or Peacock, one of the two that has Oppenheimer, and I actually Googled when is the bomb scene. So I went to that exact marker and watched it, and obviously I'm like, well, this sucks because I didn't watch the hour and 55 minutes before it. So I can't judge it from that. But hey, I had the sound bar up, and it's like 2:30 in the morning, and I'm like, holy shit, dude. Like there's something about like there's like a low wub like to it, so you can like hear the deep bass. I'm like, holy shit. But man, like not even just because it's like on the opposite side and it came out at the same time. I thought the Barbie movie was fire. You can say what you want, but I enjoyed that as a film. I enjoyed that. But man, 4 years. And
What did you have on your list then? If you thought it was of the last 10 years, what was on your list? I'll let you off. Let's go with it.
Okay, so I was gonna be funny and be like, we can stretch this back to 2005, right? But this gives it away. But in the last, if we're going in 10 years, I'm gonna go with Rogue One, bro.
All right, not too bad.
And,
I'll let you on that.
I mean, that was 8 years ago. So, but yeah, I'm gonna have to roll with Rogue One, man. It's just, you and I have talked about it before. Just like the whole Vader scene, the hallway. Like, how do you bring up that movie and not, talk about that? First and foremost, we get to see new characters, Jyn Erso, Galen Erso, and the entire connection to the plan Stardust. Like, there was always a back plan, and I just feel like that movie was just, you can dissect it and just continue to always have a ongoing love for that film. But yeah, and that's just me keeping it into the Star Wars universe, because I do watch other movies, but I like to keep it within Star Wars, man. It's what I do.
Fair enough. No Star Wars films in the last 4 years. So they did kind of like cut you off underneath a bit there, didn't it? So, oh no, we just lost him. Hopefully he pops back in.
You made him mad.
He's like pissed off. He's like, I'm out. Yeah. No Star Wars films for 4 years. I'm out.
Yeah.
So.
Here's my top movies. I'm out. See ya. Thanks.
He's done. He's off to celebrate his Saturday evening. JD, what about you? Your film of the decade or TV series of the decade so far?
Yeah, this one was easy for me as of a couple weeks ago because Dune 2 blew everything out of the water ever since like Endgame, in my opinion. Dune 2 was amazing. The way they pulled you in to this universe and just immersed you into the picture and the sound, and like it had such satisfying earned action, and just the drama, the intensity. So I'm very thankful for Dune 2, honestly, in an age of mediocrity for nerd fandom movies. That was a real treat. Best of the decade so far, by far.
Nice. And am I correct in saying that Dune Part 2 has pretty much been the highest ranked film that you guys have ever had on Why So Sidious?
It was.
Like
Collectively.
9.6 out of 10 or something you guys had it?
Yeah.
See, it shows I do watch your show. I do listen to you guys.
Yeah, there you go.
Welcome back, Brandon. Nice to see you weren't pissed off when you didn't leave us.
Bro, I was like really hoping that it was the end of my turn because my Wi-Fi it keeps saying it's refreshing. Make sure it's trying to connect, and I'm like, bro, my Wi-Fi is good.
Same.
Paid the bill,
Gotta love it.
so I
Caleb,
apologize.
what about you? Your it's all right, man. No worries. Caleb, your favourite film or TV show of the decade so far?
Well, great minds think alike, and that's why me and JD do a podcast together. And I think this is fandom. It does count as a fandom movie.
Yeah.
There's the book
Hell yeah.
series, and a whole TV series coming. It's going to become the next big fandom if it isn't already. So yeah, I got Dune Part 2. It might be slightly hyperbolic, but at the same time, we haven't got a lot of great movies over the last 3.5 years. So. I mean, I would, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Spider-Man No Way Home. Those would be my other choices, but it's got to be Dune Part 2 just because of how well the story was told and how emotional it is at the end. That's another
Epic.
level from Marvel.
Epic.
So, yeah, epic.
Yeah. I mean, I did try to expand fandom. I know when I messaged you all with the notes for the show, saying, like, when I say fandom, it's going to be like sci-fi, superheroes, like
Right.
video game adaptations, that stuff. So I thought, JD, you might go for Dune Part 2, but I also thought you might slip in The Last of Us, to be fair, because I know how much you really
No.
did like that.
No, it would be my second would be Guardians 3 for sure.
Oh, really? Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, Last of Us might be third, but
Michael.
no Way Home.
Oops,
Sorry.
No Way Home. Sorry.
Yeah, that might be third actually. Go ahead.
Michael, let's see what you've got.
Yeah, so I came up with a list. I just want to give some shout outs to ones that haven't been mentioned that for me were big deals. As far as TV shows, I'll start with my first and foremost. I think it's the thing that really maybe Marvel dropped off here and there, DC dropped off here and there, but Invincible came in and really grasped me at a point where I was like, do I still like superheroes? And reminded me that I truly love superheroes. So Invincible by far is number one as far as TV shows go. Some other shout outs like fandom related stuff. Peacemaker was great. I think Star Wars Visions is underrated as far as the reach that it has with different types of genres and giving us different types of stories. Love, Death, and Robots in the same vein, another anthology type show that kind of gave us some really incredible sci-fi stories. Squid Game, I know it was so blown up. It was almost like the Tiger King, but that show is genuinely so good and changed a lot of what we understood and opened people's eyes to international TV shows as well in a big way. So as far as some movies, I'm going to give my number one to Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Originally, I had the first film, but I couldn't pick that. I probably love these movies more than anybody. I know how popular they are, but genuinely, when I say if that third movie hits, it's going to be my favorite trilogy of all time. And we're talking Godfather, we're talking Lord of the Rings. I feel like it's really up there. I truly love these stories. I love these characters. So that's definitely number one. And just some shout outs to some other ones. The Batman, great. Avatar: The Way of Water, big Avatar guy. I know it's not for everybody. Godzilla -1 really broke my mind recently and showing us what we can do with a smaller budget action film or monster movie rather. And you know what? I always gotta, whenever I can. I know people make fun of me for this all the time, but The Eternals is great. Okay, so that's my Marvel movie.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I like
Michael
it too.
loves the
Michael.
Eternals, man. It's all good. It's all good. Nothing wrong with Eternals. There's nothing wrong with it. It's all right.
Yes,
It's all right.
thank you.
Calm down, Lee. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. To be fair, I had Godzilla's -1 on my list. I know JD. We covered that with Dave, and I was probably the one film since Endgame where I've been astonished the whole way through the film. It just really hit every note for me. To be fair, I had Spider-Man: No Way Home on my list and Dune Part 2. Two other ones that I've got on my list for contenders that nobody else has mentioned. I think because this series not only saved my lockdown, but it's pretty much, no matter how people think the quality has been later on in the show, it pretty much saved Star Wars for the time being, which was The Mandalorian. I think when that came out, it was like the one thing everyone talked about, and it's always been such a big thing since, and it's led to other things going on for Star Wars and bringing everything together in this Mandoverse that we've got going on now. So without that, I think, without the lack of Star Wars films we've had in recent times since Episode 9, that's really saved things a lot for us, and it's pretty much been the biggest thing that Star Wars have done, besides the films. So, and the other big one I had on my list was Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, yeah.
Don't know if everyone's seen it or not, but, Oscar winner as well. I thought it was just an amazing film. Kind of falls into that sci-fi, universe skipping sort of genre. So,
what Doctor Strange should have been.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, it was such a good film. So for me, that what hits on my list for films and TV shows of the decade. Anyone else have anything on their list that they didn't get to mention?
I just want to say I do love Everywhere, all the one, the everything one. Yeah, that's a great movie. I will say what's interesting about that movie and why I don't consider it is because a lot of times, like, you'll see, like, especially the MCU movies, they'll be like, okay, here is a Marvel movie, but it's like, it's in the vein of like a rom-com or a horror movie, right? It feels like they're trying to introduce genres to superhero fans, while this was the reverse, where they were trying to introduce superhero films to more of a movie-going audience. And I was like, we've been there. We know what the multiverse is. And again, as a big Spider-Verse fan, I'm like, you know what? It's fine. I think Spider-Verse is better.
That is kind of funny, though, because like Marvel movies don't get any recognition at the Academy Awards, and they do like a multiverse story, and it gets Best Picture.
Yeah.
Best actor, wasn't it?
Yeah, Best Actress.
Yeah, that is kind of amusing, though, isn't it? So, okay, let's move on to our next subject for the evening then. So, we've got the best and worst Marvel/DC film. So, my wife had to point a fact out to me here that for some reason all I was thinking of when I was thinking about DC stuff was the DCEU, and I'm like, there are more films out there than just the DCEU when it comes to DC. So we'll start off before we lose them again with Brandon. I know that you've mentioned to me before you're not necessarily a huge Marvel fan, but I know that you have watched some of them, and I don't know if you watched any of the DC films, but do you have a best and worst for this subject?
I mean, I don't want to say there's like a worst, because the movie I've seen, or the movies that I've seen,
there is definitely a worst. Don't be afraid to say it, mate. There is definitely a worst.
There is.
Okay, so, let me start off with what I've seen. So like DC, like Batman is in that, correct? Okay, so Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson, Batman. That's my Batman. That's the one I love the most. Dark Knight Rises is cool. But yeah, so like Marvel, I've seen Infinity War, I've seen Endgame. Like
that's the whole MCU right there. That's all you need to watch.
The second Iron Man, I believe. Well, what's the one that Elon Musk appeared in?
Yeah, that was
okay.
Iron Man.
So I've seen that one, and oh man, what was the Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. I'm not a huge Marvel guy, but like all those ones I watched, I enjoyed. Like I enjoyed it. It's just I just didn't kind of look back at previous installments of these films, but I mean, I enjoyed what I watched. But from what I see, I don't see a lot of bickering and hate in these fandoms like there is in Star Wars. I just think it's just so damn ridiculous. But I mean, Marvel fans, like, cool, man. My best friend's a Marvel guy, so him and I will just kind of fill each other in on what's happening. But yeah, like, I don't think there really is a worst. I'm not trying to be that person, but the ones I've seen, all of those said, I enjoyed all of those films.
Nice, fair enough. Caleb, let's go to you next then. So, your best and worst Marvel/DC films.
I'm going to do with my worst first, and I think this is, I mean, it wasn't too hard of a decision. I haven't seen some of the DCEU movies, like some of the lesser ones, like Shazam 2, Aquaman 2, Blue Beetle. I didn't see those movies, so
Wonder
those
Woman
probably
2.
would be. But I think I'm going to pick Madam Web. I saw it in theaters not too long ago, and it was just like I went in there with very low expectations. I'm not like a guy who's just gonna shit all over a movie, and it still was just so weird. The villain was horrible.
Yeah,
his voice acting was so bad. Yeah, dubbed over. It was so bad, and just it was a confusing, not well told story.
Yeah, it was absolutely. You know what? I hadn't even thought about it because I just dismissed it so much out of my mind. I didn't even think about it. When I reviewed Madam Web, my review was 12 seconds long, and then I ended the episode. I literally just said, I've just been to see Madam Web. It was fucking shit. Don't bother about it. And I rolled my credits, and that was my episode that I published.
That's hilarious.
I think the whole episode, including intro and outro, was 53 seconds, and then I was done with Madam Web. So yeah. Fair shout, yeah. Okay, what do you have as your best?
My favorite Marvel/DC film of all time. This was tough too because there's a couple ones that are up there in the top, but I think I'm gonna have to go with Infinity War just because of everything building up to that moment, and it's just a all gas no brakes movie where there's not there's no downtime. So much goes on, and they executed it perfectly. So I had to go Infinity War.
Nice, fair. I'll throw mine in there next. To be fair, for my worst film is a DC film. I think most people have all the worst films as DC, but before Madam Web, I'd even thought about that. I had Wonder Woman 1984 as being bottom of my list. Just a pretty all-round shocking film, unfortunately. Pedro Pascal being, to me, the only saviour of the film, as he generally manages to do pretty well in any of his roles. The shining light in a just overall bad, cheesy, not very well thought through or written story. So, yeah, for me, that is the one that appears at the bottom of my list. But for the best, I kind of had a tie because I got The Dark Knight and I've got Endgame on there as
you
my.
Can't do that.
Well, it's my show. I can do what the fuck I want.
I knew that was coming.
Sorry, man. Simply because I couldn't pick out the two for different reasons. I mean, DC is probably The Dark Knight is probably the best DC film overall. I think at this moment in time, but Endgame was obviously I was tied between Infinity War and Endgame. I couldn't really choose between the two because I think Infinity War is the better film, but Endgame is that culmination of all of it together, and so it's hard to separate it. So yeah, I had The Dark Knight and Endgame as my best ones. JD, I don't know if you missed it, but I had my worst film as Wonder Woman 1984. So we'll roll on to you next then for your best and worst of Marvel DC.
All right. That leads perfect into my least favorite, and I went with DC for both of these, but mine is also Wonder Woman 84. WW84 might as well stand for Wow 84 because that's the only word I have to explain this movie, and I'll say it 84 times. So I'll just move on to the best DC movie, and that's going to be The Dark Knight for sure. Transcended the comic book genre, gave us the perfect Batman versus Joker feud, just the best villain performance, and with Heath Ledger, like. You got scenes like the Tokyo scene where you see Batman at his best in all different genres, like his tactical use of equipment, his stealth, his planning, his, all that. Harvey Dent, Two-Face was done so well, and they shoved that into a Joker story. But yeah, it's not all perfect. I actually have some gripes. The fight choreography, I think, is pretty bad, specifically the hand-to-hand combat stuff. Some of the action spectacle is really good, like when he flips the truck over and stuff like that. But, despite some of that stuff, like it's a super RoboCop-y Batman, and I don't love that. I would prefer a more stealth ninja kind of Batman, the detective more so. But despite all that, still the best DC movie.
Nice. Some good choices there. Michael, let's hit up you next, buddy. What have you got for your best and worst of Marvel DC?
I'm kind of adjusting on the fly here because I want to give some love to obviously Endgame, Infinity War. Those are great. The Spider-Verse movies, those are like my personal favorites. We talk about The Dark Knight, duh. Like that's like one of the best movies of all time, not alone just best superhero movies. But I gotta like really give one that like was my personal favorite, and that goes to Logan, because that movie blew my mind in ways that I didn't know superhero movies could. Right, that opening scene where he's like cutting people's arms off with his claws, like that was the thing that I imagined when I was watching the original X-Men movies, and then they gave it to me for real. So I got to give him some love there for Logan. The worst is, here's the thing, because I actively avoid bad movies. I think kind of like Caleb, I didn't see Blue Beetle. I didn't see, like, I'm not going out of my way. Like, if it was Marvel, I'm a completionist. I'm going to watch all the Marvel stuff. But when it comes to DC, I just avoid it. I would not have seen this movie if a friend did not force me to see it. And it was Madam Web. By God, this is not, and it's not even cool to like continue to shit on this movie, but like if we're talking like, oh, what was the worst villain ever? It was in that movie. What's the worst protagonist ever? It was in that movie. What's the worst sound? What's the worst action scenes? Like everything that you could possibly throw into this movie, it's Madam Web, and it was an absolute catastrophe. And again, it's not even cool to hate on it, but like I can't not mention that. That's by far the worst.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you're wrong at all in that one.
That's funny you say that. When Dave and I watched Madam Web in the theaters, we thought the speakers were broken or something, like, because it was so quiet and it sounded so weird. But then I saw a movie there a week later and was like, oh, nope, it's fine. It was just Madam Web.
Nope.
Nope. Just that polished shit.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Lee, that takes us over to you then, buddy, for your best and worst of Marvel DC.
Well, I had two lists. I thought I had one. And a lot of you guys have all said them, you know, Endgame, Madam Web, and The Dark Knight. So I had a second
the three
list.
Greatest?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. But my worst DC film that I had was Justice League, the Joss Whedon one. I think that was horrible. And the fact that we got the Snyder Cut and just shows you how big the difference of the film is. Just shows you how much that is a big pile of shit. And it annoys me to this day, the fact that you have this really cool Flash scene and someone went, no, let him just save people and push people out of the way. That's a better idea.
I'm sure I heard JD say something very similar on his podcast. It's just like, why did they go with him saving the Russian family or whatever in the truck rather than going with the let's turn back time scene?
Yeah. Don't do anything cool. Just be lame.
People might like that. Check it out.
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
Cat.
I know.
Sorry, we've got an extra visitor with Michael now. That's all good.
Oh, we do.
Yeah, it's luckily it's not my kids coming in, but it is my cat, Casper.
Aww. My best Marvel movie, which I thought you guys would take Endgame, Infinity War, and all that. I thought of one that actually did fully surprise me when I did, and I was so excited for this, was X-Men Days of Future Past. Like, I know it doesn't have, like, it does have its own gripes, but at the same time, like, just so excited to see the new cast and old cast and how they blended it both together all at the end, and, you know, both Charles and with Magneto. I thought that was so good. And then we just don't talk about what came after with Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix, which just kept going down. But yeah, I say Days of Future Past, but the worst Marvel movie I think is Madam Web. That's not a bad superhero film. That is a bad film all round.
Yeah.
Like, god awful.
That is the standard for which all bad films will be judged for every genre moving forward, won't it? So
It will be. Before that was Morbius.
Good job, Sony.
Now it's this. you keep pushing that bar, Sony. You keep.
well, still got Craven to come yet, so let's not drop that bar too low just yet.
That's true.
It's Morbin Web time.
Oh.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Let's move on to our next bit of the episode then. So we've got a bit of a quiz to happen now. So for some of you, I'm sorry that you're going to have to sit out this round, but we've got a little Marvel quiz. I have lined up. It's going to be Michael of Star Wars versus Lee of Lights, Camera, Rant.
I'm probably going to lose.
What about me? Why don't I get a Marvel quiz?
I'm sorry, Star Wars guy.
No, you'd be like, who's this? I'd be like, I don't know. Is he like work at a gas station? Does he take down Thanos? Like, what's going on? I think it's Han Solo.
Every answer.
No, it's Homelander, mate. You got it wrong.
Ah, yes.
I figured since there was going to be later on, we are going to have a Star Wars quiz where it's going to be Clan Brandolorian showing off his expertise against one of the wiser Sidious.
Oh, please
guys.
no! I was just joking.
So I didn't know since. I thought that since it would mean that one of you, Caleb or JB, wouldn't get to quiz otherwise. Does one of you want to do Star Wars and one of you want to jump in and make this a triple threat on the Marvel?
Or
do you want to decide
Brandon
between you who
sounds
wants to do
formidable.
what?
What if me and Caleb go against him? Or I don't know. Love's probably pretty good too.
I could know nothing, guys. I've actually went on a podcast and we did trivia and I lost by like 4 questions. It was treacherous.
Yeah, I'm wondering how tricky Andy's questions are.
Yeah.
Well, I tried not to make them too hard. I didn't want to make it a shit quiz when no one got anything, and I was sitting there smugly going, "You're all rubbish."
How many words does Vader speak?
So it's not like it's advanced. Yeah. What's the exact second of his screen time in A New Hope? No, okay. Well, if you two, maybe if Brandon's happy to accept the challenge of a 2-on-1 with Wiser Cities, we'll stick with the other guys. He's not, he didn't want to do that
guys,
either. No, this is great. This is going great.
Like you said, this is your fucking show. You do what you want.
I'll jump at Marvel. I'll do better than Marvel.
Go on.
JD can jump in Marvel. Caleb, you're going to do the Star Wars one in a bit. So.
2 people
Right
beat me.
then.
That's how I was feeling.
I'll tell you the one thing I hadn't worked out was how we were going to be the first one to answer.
We shout?
Yeah, well, don't debalk into school kids and just shouting out the answer. Just I don't know, shout out your name or something like that, and you can be the first
Yeah, I
one
think
to
we
answer.
can buzz in. Maybe I can say Star Wars. Lights, Camera, Rant. Why so Sidious?
Yeah.
Yeah, or you can just shout your name, whichever you're most comfortable with, so you're not saying too many syllables by the end of it. So, okay then. So we've got Michael versus Lee versus JD for the Marvel quiz. So we're going to start off with question 1. There's 10 questions, by the way. There's a couple of sound clip questions in there as well, just to mix it up a little bit.
Ooh.
But question 1: what part of New York is Steve Rogers
Sidious.
from?
Lee.
Oh, Lee was in there first.
Brooklyn.
Yes, correct. Brooklyn. Okay. So then, question 2: what country are Wanda and Pietro from?
Sidious.
Star
in
Wars.
the MCU. Oh, Star Wars just.
I think I'm wrong, but I wanted to at least try to get a point. So I'm going to say the Ukraine.
Ooh, unfortunately not. It passes over to JD.
Sokovia.
Who's the next one in? Yes, correct.
Damn.
I think Ukraine's pretty close, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's pretty much where it is in the real one, isn't it? So, question number 3: in Infinity War, what was the name of the planet where the Soul Stone was?
Sidious.
Shit.
God.
Oh shit!
Go on
What
then,
is it,
JD.
man? It's it's right there. Oh, come on!
It starts with V, doesn't it?
5, 4,
Don't help him, Lee.
3,
Oh, it's gonna kill me.
2, 1. Sorry, JD, timed out. Leon Michael,
Lee.
go on then.
It's Varamore. Fuck. It's.
Oh, it's close.
I can
It's close.
see the title. It's like VA.
I know what it is now that he said that.
I know.
Damn it,
Five
Gigi.
seconds,
Last
Lee.
deal.
I do now.
Yeah.
3,
Anatomy.
2,
I know it now.
1. Michael, it's yours for the win.
Vormir.
Yes, that is correct.
Right?
Vormir, yeah.
I didn't know it until you started giving me hints, Lee.
I said Bolafleer. I was like,
I did just watch Infinity War a couple days ago.
I could just picture the name coming on the screen, and all I could see is the V. I'm like,
I kept wanting to say Dagobah.
yeah.
Okay, question 4. Nick Fury wears a patch over
Sidious.
which eye?
Lee,
Star Wars.
Lee, go for it first.
right eye.
Oh.
Incorrect. Which means there's only one other choice left. Michael, I'm afraid you were next.
Left eye.
Yeah,
Middle.
yeah, that's correct.
Hey, I can find
Yeah, those Doctor Strange would have 3.
Yeah.
I can find posters of stuffed up, and it's on the right eye. I should get half a point.
I'm only getting points because Lee is helping me right now. Just
Yeah.
by the way.
Okay, question 5 is a sound clip. Okay, so what it's going to be is, let me find where it is first. So the question is going to be, what movie is this from?
Honestly, I hate working here. They are so weird.
Lee,
Go on then, Lee.
Iron Man 3.
Correct.
Ooh,
Yes.
that was a tough one.
Well done, buddy.
Well done.
Okay, question 6. What does the acronym of the TVA stand
Sidious.
for?
Star Wars.
Time Variance
JD.
Authority.
Yes, we're in 2 apiece for everyone right now with 4 questions to go. So, question 7. In the first Deadpool film, Stan Lee has a cameo doing what job?
Lee,
Go for it, Lee.
he's
Star
a,
Wars.
he's a DJ at a stripper joint.
Yes,
Nice.
that is correct. I genuinely thought that might be a hard one and no one would be into that one, but well done.
Which is that Iron Man or like before
After.
Iron Man?
What was the first Deadpool
way
film?
after.
So what was that, like
Oh.
2015? Yeah, so it was well after Iron Man, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, question 8. In Civil War, who was actually responsible for King
Sidious.
T'Chaka's death?
Lee,
Baron
JD just in
Zemo.
there? Yes, correct. Nicely done. So, question 9. Who is Peter Quill's half-sister?
Lee. Well, actually, it's not Lee, but
Star Wars.
Yeah, go on, Lee. Go on, then, Lee.
Mantis.
Indeed it is. Ooh, tense going into the final question. So, it's a sound clip. Sorry, Lab, are we boring you over there? Just had a little yawn over there, it was fine. Okay, so, sound clip for the final question. Who is Okoye referring to here when she says this?
Sidious.
she up there all this time?
Star
Lee.
Wars.
Oh, I think Star Wars just got in there.
It was Scarlet Witch.
Indeed it was, yes. Well. So, that brings us to the end of the Marvel quiz, and here are the results. There is one winner by 1 point, and I don't know why I'm surprised, but Lee from Let's Camera Rant, congratulations, buddy.
Congrats, Lee.
Totally fair. I thought I was going to lose that. I'm like, I'm going to get destroyed.
Yeah, please don't be offended that I'm surprised you won. I don't know why. You do have knowledge of Marvel. I didn't mean to be offensive. Sorry, buddy.
No, it's all right.
Okay, so that's the end of the Marvel quiz, and our winner, even Lee from Lights Camera Rant. No trophy is on its way to you right now, buddy. Thank you very much. So, as we move on to our next subject of the evening, the best and worst Star Wars film. Michael, why don't you kick us off on this one, buddy?
The worst is the easiest for me. It's The Rise of Skywalker. And the thing is, like, I know there's arguments to be made about the prequels and all that. For me, at least, there's like nostalgia attached to those. So if you want to make those arguments, like, I was like a little kid, like jumping up and down in the theaters watching those. Like, you can't curse those in my mind. The Rise of Skywalker let me down in a way that I didn't even know was possible. Like, I still haven't even really coped with the way that the Skywalker saga has ended, just because I didn't like it. I thought it was really silly. I thought bringing back Sidious was a mistake. I thought all of his motivations throughout the entire movie didn't even make sense when he did come back. Like, it didn't give me anything that I would have wanted from that finale. So, and that's, I guess, my hot take is that I'm super excited for this new Rey movie to, like, so I can say, okay, this story doesn't end like this, right? So that's my worst. The best is really hard. I've got a favorite in every, I love The Last Jedi. I know that might be a hot take to some people. I love Empire Strikes Back. But I think, again, if we're talking like pound for pound, the movie that like really, really like cemented myself as a Star Wars fan, the one that I grew up with, the one that like touches me, makes me want to cry, makes me want to jump up and down. Like, the most Star Wars is for me is Revenge of the Sith. Yeah. I mean, it's just it's almost like Star Wars What If. It was like, if you're watching those original movies, it's like, oh, what would happen if Yoda and Sidious fought together, right? Like, it gave you all of that, and like the emotional crux between Anakin and Obi-Wan and then Padme, like, it just works. It works really well for me. I think, like, it has the best action. I love it. I love it.
Nice. Brandon, it has been far too long since we've been able to hear you. So I know what your best one is going to be. I'm intrigued to see what your worst is going to be. Tell us, buddy. Lay it down. What's your best and worst of Star Wars?
Yeah, we'll start it off with best, and that is Revenge of the Sith. Man, it's the missing puzzle piece that people have waited for since '83. Like, there's people older than me that just waited all that time, and like, I had to wait from the prequels to the sequels to see what was next, but I only had a 9-10 year wait. So, I mean, I don't know. It's just, you get the best duel in all of Star Wars. And of course, this is my opinion, the Anakin Obi-Wan, like, holy shit, man. Like, it's the most badass lightsaber duel, but yet so emotional. And you just ride up and down that entire fight. And you're just, you want to cry, and then you want to like get up and punch the air at the same time. And there's just nothing like it, in my opinion. I don't even think there's close seconds. Like, it's just in a league of its own. But yes, I do love Empire and Return of the Jedi. Those are my 2 and 3, but you just can't do it like Episode 3. But if we're gonna go worst movie, I'm gonna go with the Clone Wars movie. But if we're gonna keep it live action,
interesting.
And I'm a fan of 1 through 9 and Rogue One and Solo. But for me personally, I think Solo is on that low scale for me.
That was my pick too.
I love how we see Han and Chewie meet for the first time, but that's just not the way I expected it to be. But I'm not a writer. I don't do any of this. I just looking on from the outside, I'm just like, yeah, it could have been a little better. I wish that they would have spent more time on Corellia with Han when he was younger, because that's where he came from, learning his smuggler motives, like just a little bit more time. But obviously you got to love the Darth Maul appearance at the end. That's left unanswered. We know that there's some story just looming out there. But it's one of those things where this is what happens when you start a project and don't finish it. So I think if we didn't have Bryce Dallas Howard's dad finish the rest of that, I think that would be, an even worse movie. But I feel like he picked up a little bit of the slack, and he's giving the other writers a story that they can feed off with Darth Maul, of course. So it's just a nice little touch for the worst.
Fair. I mean, I'm just going to throw mine in there because, to be fair, they are the exact same too. Revenge of the Sith being my favourite. For years, Empire Strikes Back was my favourite. And I don't know when it happened, but I think maybe over the last 10 years, Revenge of the Sith has creeped above it for me. Until one of my friends called me out and he's like, "Can you just admit Revenge of the Sith is your favourite rather than Empire now?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know when it happened, but it is. It's fucking my favourite of all time now." So absolutely love that. I didn't think anyone else was going to pick Solo, to be fair. I thought everyone was going to go for The Rise of Skywalker or maybe like Attack of the Clones. But for me, I fucking hate Solo as a film. I really do. It was a project no one asked for. It was a project no one really cared about. And the worst of all, for its like exposure, it came out 5 months after The Last Jedi, and the reception that got affected that film as well. So unfortunately, it was for the most part, as I said, apart from getting Chewie in it, I thought Lando was the best part of that film by a long way. Donald Glover, and obviously getting the Maul cameo then. But apart from that, this film is the bottom of all 11 for me. So it's just the way it is sometimes, isn't it? But Caleb, let's get your thoughts. Best and worst of Star Wars.
You guys reminded me about Solo. Imagine people in the theaters who haven't seen Clone Wars and they just see Darth Maul show up at the end. Like, what the hell? He died. You know? Oh, he's alive again. Okay.
Well, yeah, I actually had to answer those questions to some casual Star Wars fans friends of mine, and they're like, "Why the fuck is Maul here when he died 30 years ago after being cut in half?" And I'm like, "Oh, he's not dead, my friend." No.
But this was probably the easiest question for me. My favorite is also Revenge of the Sith. It's the movie I've seen probably more than any other movie ever. And I mean, every single time I don't want Anakin to turn to the dark side, I'm like, just stay behind. Let Mace Windu take care of things. He's going to make you Jedi Master, and you'll get to the restricted section of the library so you can save Padme. But that never happens. He never listens. He always turns. So that gets me every time. But yeah, I love that movie. And my least favorite is Rise of Skywalker, and it's not even close. Like I'm not a huge fan of The Last Jedi, but The Rise of Skywalker, it did bring the fandom back together, where people who hated Force Awakens and people who hated Last Jedi all came together to hate Rise of Skywalker.
Common enemy.
So it's just so sloppy. I think the original script, the Duel of the Fates, where Kylo stays the villain, and it goes back to Coruscant, and you see all that stuff underground on Coruscant with the Jedi Temple, and that would have been a really good way to end a messy trilogy. But Carrie Fisher died, so they had to switch things up.
And so she died on my birthday as well, so my birthday sucks every year now because I constantly just see posts about that rather than happy birthday. At least no. So yeah, but yeah, fair. Episode 9, bottom of the list. Not going to make any complaints about that, is it? So. Lee, what about you? Obviously, your limited Star Wars knowledge here is going to be a factor, but please do let us know.
All right,
Please do let us know.
Here's one funny man, is that none of you have actually mentioned the single worst Star Wars film ever, and that is the holiday special.
Lee. Were you the guy in the theater that was like, wait,
Brandon
Darth Maul's alive?
No, I was the guy going, nothing's going to lead after this, is it? This was just a cameo, and nothing is going to come from this. No, I had I had Solo, but after that, obviously the worst Star Wars film was the holiday special. That film is awful.
Fair,
Nothing will top that. But my top favorite, now, we all know it's going to be the Revenge of the Sith for everybody. My top favorite that I always probably go back to more than Revenge of the Sith is Empire. That one I always will chuck on because growing up as a kid, that's actually the first Star Wars film I saw, was that one. And that's what engrossed me into Star Wars, because I'm like, okay, what's happened in the previous film? What's going to happen in the second one? And it's one of those rare films where the hero doesn't win. The villains won.
Yeah.
And yes, I was just like everybody else when we watched Revenge of the Sith going, holy shit, this is awesome. This makes a lot more freaking sense. But yeah, my top one's always Empire. But yeah, Han Solo was shit too. Solo, I felt like it was like, oh, here's your iconic gun. Here's your iconic Chewie. Here is your ship. Here's everything else.
I know.
Here is
Yeah,
your
his
name.
fucking name. Jesus Christ, that was the.
You're
that has
alone?
to be singularly one of the worst bits of all of Star Wars, surely. Like,
Yeah.
let's see. You're traveling by yourself. Let's call you Solo. Oh, get the fuck out of here.
It's like,
All right, just so
okay.
this
How
isn't
the
a
writers
just
did
so,
that?
just so this isn't a pissing party, I gotta say I really like Solo. There's a lot of great stuff in there. I think we get a great iteration of Lando. It's a lot of fun. We get a great droid in L3. I think it's a fun movie. Yeah, it's definitely cheesy, but it's exciting. It's really exciting. We get
I don't hate it.
what's her name from Westworld in there. We get Woody Harrelson. Like, it's a great cast. I think everyone does really good reprising those roles. So I really like Solo, guys. Coming out.
Unfortunately, Michael's going to have to leave us now.
gotta go.
Thanks for joining us. No, I'm joking, mate. Bless you for standing up for it.
I was going to say, I can agree
JD,
on that.
JD, you're best and most.
Sorry, I was going to say, I can agree with that too. It's fun, but the only thing is it's just not as rewatchable. I think that's the least rewatchable Star Wars film. But
That's fair. I can take that.
dude, Childish Gambino,
Any
loved
of you
him.
gone back and watched it?
I have, yeah.
I definitely have, but
I've watched it like once, I think.
Probably seen it three times.
only because I watch all of it with my wife because she watches all the Star Wars and I watch it with her. So apart from that, so JD, hit us with your choices.
Okay.
If
They are
from
different.
anyone else's.
By the way, in Han Solo,
Oh, yeah.
I actually do
nice.
like Han Solo. The only thing about it is I don't like that it was made. They just put Harrison Ford back into The Force Awakens, and that was so satisfying. I loved seeing him in there. And then you recast him for an origin story that we didn't need. So I hate why it's made. But the movie itself, I could watch it and kind of enjoy it. I've seen it twice, and I don't really want to see it a third time, but I don't hate it. I'll just go with that for Solo. But my least favorite, and I wanted to say Rise of Skywalker, because I would say that's probably my least rewatchable Star Wars movie ever. But I blame The Last Jedi for how bad Rise of Skywalker was. So I'm going to go with The Last Jedi. I'm sorry. What that did, dude, with Leia and Luke and...
Michael. Oh, dear.
And,
Here we go.
I mean, like, Ryan Johnson just slapped J.J. Abrams' movie in the face, along with the fans that liked the story threads that were put down. And he just shit on him, just crushed him, said goodbye, and just started on his own thing.
Oh,
I don't know if
the
it's
Star
me or
Wars
if it's
god
Clint.
struck him down.
Disney said, "Shut your mouth. You're done. You're done."
Oh, dear.
hacked his computer.
Disney's got him.
Am I back?
Take him.
Michael got him in the private.
Am I back?
Yeah,
Disney
you're back,
heard
buddy.
you, bro.
Yeah, so Ryan Johnson really just tore all those down.
Yes, you're here.
And it really bugs me seeing Luke and Leia act the way they do. Leia with the Force. No other Star Wars movie frustrates me like The Last Jedi does, so that's my least favorite. Best, and this is a weird one too, because Revenge of the Sith I'd say is my favorite and most rewatchable. But I'm going to go with the best movie as Rogue One, because it has, so like, unlike a lot of the recent Star Wars stuff, it was planned well in a way that it connected to a 1970s movie and made that movie make more sense. And it's like the first scene in A New Hope is the next scene in Rogue One. I thought that was masterful. Just it's character driven and full of drama, just like the OG trilogy, except it has modern movie quality. And that's the only reason I didn't pick an OG trilogy is they're just a little outdated. So pound for pound, I recognize they're probably the best for their time. But I mean, Rogue One gave us like all that Death Star lore, kyber crystals, like some espionage stuff. They want to kill Galen. Jin doesn't even know about it. The testing the Death Star on Jakku or Jeddah, wherever that was, testing the Death Star was amazing.
Jeddah,
The aerial combat scenes were amazing. And of course, the Vader scenes were just like the best possible cherry on top. So I'm going to go with Rogue One as the best Star Wars movie.
Yeah, man. Fair. Nice. I like that. I can tell Michael's sitting here thinking about when JD's just saying that the Last Jedi being his worst film, and he's just sat here wanting to like.
No, I think I get the complaints. Like, my problem with the sequel trilogy, I think from a conceptual level, was flawed. They had planned for 3 separate individuals to write their own Star Wars movies, and it was just inevitable that they were going to clash. Maybe it didn't have to clash so hard, but you know what? Like, I liked Luke's arc in that movie. I liked seeing Kylo cut
I like
Snoke
that.
in half. Like I've
I like
never
that.
cheered louder in a movie theater before. Probably the low point for me, is probably Canto Bite. That doesn't work so great. But everything else, I think I really love Rey and Kylo, and I love their story. And the heart of that movie was about them. And it worked for me.
And Kylo's high pants. That was also a highlight too.
Yes, exactly.
Big swallow, buff half naked Kylo.
Yeah, like
I think
Swallow, yes.
yeah.
I think if you gave Ryan Johnson his own trilogy and let him tell his own
so.
story, it would be amazing. But having him as such like a, he loves to divert expectations and do his own thing. Having him do the second movie was just not a good decision. Have him do the first movie maybe, and then have someone else take his vision.
I think that's the perfect example of someone going, cool, let's put a pin in that and let's go do this. That you did a really good job, but I'm doing this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you, gents, for your choices, best and worst of Star Wars. And speaking of Star Wars, we now have a Star Wars quiz to rock our specialist subjects for Caleb and Brandon. So, gentlemen, start your engines, get ready to answer some questions, shout out your name when you've got the answer, and we'll see who comes out victorious. And I'm going to start off with question one. In episode 1, which handmaiden acted as Queen Amidala's decoy?
Dick.
I know the actress's name. Does that count?
No, you can't tell me Keira Knightley. No.
The hot one.
I don't know.
I'm stumped.
Maybe this one was a bit too hard.
Yeah.
I'll open this up to the crowd. Anyone else? Anyone else got any idea what her name was?
I haven't watched Clone Wars, so I can't answer.
Oh, shut up, boy. It's not Clone Wars. Look, Lob's turned his camera off whilst he Googles it.
Sorry.
Okay, it's a pitch out for no one. No one gets that one. Okay, so the answer was Sabe. Wow, strike out for that.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. That well-known character that never appears in any other film ever again.
No.
All right then. Question 2: what was Finn's stormtrooper number?
FN 2187.
Correct. So Mundo, yes. Okay, question 3. According to Yoda, what is the path to the dark
Brando.
side? Go for it.
Okay, repeat the question.
According to I just need some time to get this again. It's fine. According to Yoda, what is the path to the dark side?
Hate.
Full line.
Suffering.
Full line.
No. There's one particular line where he says it, and you've just had your shot, buddy. Sorry, Caleb.
I'm sorry. My wife was just interrupting me. She's about to leave, so I got totally sidetracked.
Well, I had to repeat it for Brandon, so I'll repeat it for you. According to Yoda, what is the path to the dark side?
The path to the dark
friend.
side.
There's a very particular phrase.
What fear leads to hate,
Fear.
hate leads to anger, and something
That's
one
what,
more.
that's what he says after this sentence, but he's speaking to Anakin, and he tells him that fear is the path to the dark side. So the answer is fear, but then he does do the whole fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. That is the second part of what he does. So strike out again on question 3.
Jeez. I knew all the Marvel questions. I should have done that one.
I knew that one. We should have switched.
Okay, so we've got a sound clip. We've got a sound clip for you. Question 4 is a sound clip. So in this sound clip, who is Obi-Wan talking about?
Why do I sense we've picked up another pathetic life form?
Lub?
Go for it. Is he talking about you, is he?
Jesus.
Sorry, buddy.
Is it Jar Jar Binks?
No, I'm afraid not. Brandon.
You want to know what's crazy is I couldn't even hear it.
I'll play it again. Just.
Why do I sense we've picked up another pathetic life form?
Pathetic life form?
Yeah, he says, why do I get the feeling we've just picked up another pathetic life form?
He is speaking to Qui-Gon.
Not who he's speaking to, who is he referring to when he
Jar
says
Jar.
that?
No.
No.
What the fuck?
No, again, both of you went for Jar Jar just then.
It struck me.
The answer is Anakin.
Oh.
He's talking about young Anakin in episode 1.
Really?
Yeah. It's after Anakin. It's after Anakin's won the pod race, and he's obviously freed him as a slave. Qui-Gon goes back to the ship with the parts, so they can fix it. And Obi-Wan goes, "Oh, why do I get the feeling we picked up another pathetic life form?" And Qui-Gon tells him it's the boy who's responsible for getting us these parts. So,
damn.
Wow, no wonder he
I was gonna say, I don't remember it being that cold.
I remember you calling me pathetic, you piece of shit.
Damn.
I'm glad that you were killed by Darth Maul. Okay, so question 5 then. C-3PO is fluent in how many forms of communication? Go for it.
6 million.
Yes, indeed. 6 million. Okay, question 6. What was Galen Erso's nickname for his daughter Jin?
Stardust.
Correct. Caleb being left in the dust. Maybe you should let JD
that's not
do this.
fair because I was even talking about that earlier. That's weird how that came back.
Oh yeah, I did hear you mention it. And he's going to get that one quite quickly. So we've got another sound clip for you. So I want to know, what film is this from?
You stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerve herder.
Lub?
Who's scruffy looking?
Go for it, Lub.
Isn't that Empire Strikes Back?
Yes, indeed it is. Yes. It's on the board.
We got one!
Okay, so question 8. Who is the black market droidsmith that Poe knows on Kijimi
Brando.
in episode 9? Oh, go for it.
Babu Frick.
Correctamundo. Yes, indeed.
Good job, Lub.
Bad baby. No, it's sweet.
Bad baby.
I know that wasn't Babu Frick, but it always gets me, that one. So.
Droid broken.
Okay, question number 9. Pointless at this stage, but we'll march on to the end. In which film did Jabba the Hutt first appear in?
Brando.
Go for it.
Phantom Menace.
I should have probably phrased that differently. In terms of theatrical release, what film did Jabba the Hutt first appear in?
Oh.
Give that.
You stuffed that
Give
up.
it to Love.
That was my bad. Lub, any idea?
Is it Return of the Jedi?
No.
It's Empire
New
2?
Hope.
Oh,
It's not Empire.
he's in the... the special edition
Of which film?
of
We'll
the
get there
New
in the
Hope.
end, mate.
Yeah,
We'll
because
get there in
it
the
shows
end.
that random scene with him and Han Solo.
New Hope.
That's right.
Yes, that was filmed originally when they originally did A New Hope in '77, but it got deleted and they reinserted it back into the special edition in '97. So, sorry, Brandon, I should have worded that better in terms of theatrical release when he was first.
That's okay. That's just me not listening.
But,
you know I don't listen. You asked I
Yeah,
said my
yeah.
name and I said, wait, what was the question again?
Just trying to eat a beaver in there first. Question 10 then. We'll finish off on a sound clip. This is from episode 7. Who is Poe Dameron talking to when he says this?
So who talks first? You talk first? I talk first.
Brando. That is
Go for it.
Kylo Ren.
Yes, indeed, yeah. So, a astoundingly large win there for Brando Calrissian over Caleb of White Sidious.
You are the master, I am the apprentice.
Bow before him and kiss those feet, baby.
You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Anybody else
don't do
offer?
that yet.
No. Okay.
Well, I mean,
I've got a few more sound clips, so I thought just for fun, for a minute or two, we'll just throw these out here and just see if anyone can get them from. They're either from Marvel or Star Wars. Most of them should be pretty easy, but I just want to throw them out there and just have a little bit of fun. So we'll start off with this one, shall we?
You don't exactly outrank me anymore.
In my book, experience outranks everything.
Then I definitely outrank you.
Clone Wars.
What show is that from? No?
Oh, what is it, Lee?
It's episode 2, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's that
Rebels.
wasn't actually Clone Wars. That was Rebels.
That's Sabine.
It wasn't Sabine. It was.
So you
it
were
was
all
Ahsoka.
right with me.
Oh, it's Ahsoka.
Dude, I was like, wait, was that Sabine? No way.
No,
It sounded like her.
no fake Force sensitives on this show, I'm afraid. Sorry. We'll go with this one next.
Before we get started,
Anybody want to get out? Winter Soldier.
Yeah, perfect. Love that one. We'll go with this one next.
I recognize the council has made
Stupid ass decision.
given that it's
Avengers.
a stupid ass decision, I've elected to ignore it.
Yeah. JD's loving this one. He's getting them all right. So let's. This might be an interesting one for which particular film it came from.
I don't know. I have a bad feeling about this.
Oh, that's Empire.
Indeed, yes, it is Empire. Brilliant. And we'll finish off with one last one.
That's not how the Force works.
A New Hope. Is that Force Awakens?
No,
Force Awakens.
It's Force Awakens.
Yeah, Force Awakens. Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Clan Brandolorian succeeding, maybe as expected, as our Star Wars specialist here today, but winning the Star Wars quiz. Okay, so let's move on to our final subject of the evening. I don't know if this is going to be controversial. It is quite a big one in terms of there could be lots of different answers here. But what is the best film ever in fandom? JD, kick us off, mate.
All right.
What have you got?
Going to bring it back to the Endgame Infinity War discussion because I think one of those is the best. And it was fighting for the spot with Dark Knight and the Two Towers from the Lord of the Rings franchise, which I started to question if I like Fellowship now more than the Two Towers later. But anyway, it's not there. So, and I think I'm going to give it to Infinity War because Endgame doesn't exist without Infinity War. And I think Endgame is the better movie probably, like from beginning to end, because Infinity War is just like all out action throughout, like almost too much action, in my opinion. But I think Infinity War is the best movie start to finish, the way it introduces one of the best villains of all time and ends with him winning. So the ending is unique. But in between, just so much exciting action and spectacle and the journey of getting all these stones and a few more characters meeting. One of my gripes is actually there might have been too much action. I would have preferred more characters meet. I loved seeing that in the first Avengers, how like these new characters meet and interact. Like Thor and Black Panther, I would have loved to see T'Challa and Thor talk. Didn't get that. Spider-Man and Hulk, Bruce Banner, we didn't get to see them. Gamora and Tony Stark, like there's a lot of meetings that I wanted to see that we didn't get to see, that they could have replaced a little bit of action with that. But I'd say Infinity War is the best fandom movie there.
Nice. Lee, what about you? What have you got?
I'm going to have to go with the same thing. Infinity War, as in the sense that Infinity War isn't just a movie, it's an event film. You know, so many people were looking forward to this. People were in droves. It broke box office records. And it was something that's, has never been done before. Bringing, I was going to test, I think, 5 franchises all into one film. And not to mention the fact that the film actually worked from start to finish. It wasn't, it wasn't like, they've gone too hard with it. It was a solid film, and again, the villain won at the end. You're at the end of it, and you're like, I have to wait 365 days to find out what happens next. But that film is an event that crossed both the casual fan and the diehard fans, and nothing against Star Wars, but I don't think Star Wars has, probably Revenge of the Sith is probably the closest event film they've had.
Fair enough. Yeah, Caleb, what about you? What have you got for us?
I'm gonna throw a little curveball here because we've been talking about Star Wars, Marvel, DC this whole time, but I think my number one, and this is for Dave out there who couldn't make it, I'm gonna have to pick the Fellowship of the Ring, and that is the best Lord of the Rings movie. It's my favorite. It sets things off so well. I think Revenge of the Sith or Infinity War would be my top 3 for sure, but Fellowship is just like a perfectly made movie, and it's so rewatchable. You have to watch it at least once a year. You have to go back and rewatch that trilogy. So I have to give Lord of the Rings some love on this podcast, so we'll go Fellowship.
Nice. I did have the Two Towers on my list. I thought maybe in terms of an epic film that maybe slightly outshadowed Fellowship, just because of basically the Battle of the Two Towers.
Right.
And the armies facing off. I thought maybe that, and the arrival of the Rohirrim at the end of that battle, was maybe slightly overshadowed the events of say episode 1 of Fellowship of the Ring. But yeah, I think Lord of the Rings definitely gets in there as a shout, doesn't it? Of being some of the best fandom ever done. So, Michael, what have you got for us?
I'm struggling because, I like to give love to the little guy. Is this best or favorite? Can we clarify real quick? Because
I say best ever film in fandom for your opinion. So if it's your favourite film in all of fandom, then that's fine.
I've been going back and forth. There's a few. I think if we're talking fandom, I love Infinity War and Endgame so much. I tend to lean a little bit more on the Endgame side. I think it's the thing that made being a nerd cool. I think being a fan of fandoms was cool when that movie came out. I'm going to say that. I think that's the best and also my favorite. But, I got to give love to a movie that nobody in their right mind would ever mention. It's up behind me. If you see the Japanese poster, it's Kong Skull Island. I think it's one of the best monster movies ever made. It's insanely rewatchable. That's my personal favorite, but yeah, it's Endgame.
Nice. And Brando Calrissian, hit us with yours.
Dude, I forgot about Skull Island. That was such a dope movie. That was something I would probably never think of again unless I saw like the new Kong movies come out. But yeah, that's a good toss. Man, I remember when we were talking Star Wars movies on your channel, and once we got to episode 3, I told you, bro, I was like, hey, to me, like Revenge of the Sith is the best movie I have ever seen, ever, in all of cinema, and like. That's a crazy hot take to the normal ears, but dude, I mean that so much when I say it. I've never watched a movie so many damn times, and like I told you before too, like even when I was in the theaters, like I'm 8 and like I want to cry because Mace Windu just got thrown out a window. Like that doesn't happen, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like no. So and it's just the emotional roller coasters, like I mentioned earlier too. Like it's that movie has you so damn pumped when it starts, when you just hear those loud knockings of like the music, and then they just come down over a Venator and over Coruscant. Their shields on their ships just raise, and then they're going for Grievous, and you're like, who's this character in Grievous? And then you're like, wait, why are they saving Palpatine? And then you get these questions that are answered like within the next 20 minutes. And it keeps going that entire, that is one of the greatest stories ever told, in my opinion. And like I said, it's the missing puzzle piece to the franchise. And, like when, I don't know if some of your guys' like high school, like English classes were different than mine, but like when we were supposed to write a paper, you start with an outline, you have like the first point, and then you have the supporting topic of that first point. And then you go into the second paragraph, same thing. And then you have the conclusion. I feel like with that being the middle installment of episode 1 through 6 in George's vision, that movie had that outline from start to finish. It had this problem, and then you talk about that problem, and then there's another problem, and then it keeps going, and then it all ends with Anakin turning to the dark side. But then you look back and you're like, dude, this story has been told already in the other movies. And then you just really get that clear focus on episode 3 in the one movie. And it's just, dude, I could talk about it for days. I'm just trying to sum it up. It's amazing to me. And like, when we're done on this, I could go watch it right now. Like, it's just one of those movies. You could go to bed to it. You know, you can wake up in the morning, get your coffee going, throw on Revenge of the Sith, and you're gonna just be so stuck to it. But yeah, episode 3, bro.
Well, we do have our review of episode 3 coming out sometime in the next couple of months. I think I'm trying to get Bad Batch all sorted first, and then maybe between Bad Batch ending and The Acolyte and The Boys starting in June, I might drop our episode 3 review, because it was a good long chat we had as well. I think so. Definitely looking forward to when that episode comes out. But don't blame me for having that up there. I had a couple of films on my list that I was trying to, because when I said fandom, I was saying sci-fi, superheroes, fantasy, and sort of like video game adaptations. So when I sat down and was making my list and trying to think what has really impacted the people that go to watch the films the most, and the impact it had on everyone, on the genres and society. And I was thinking Empire Strikes Back had a massive impact at the time, because it was a film where, like Lisa said, like where the bad guys kind of win at the end. It has still one of the biggest sort of twists in all of film history, with Vader being, spoiler alert, anyone, Vader being Luke's dad. And that's just never really been matched. I know you're not a big Star Wars fan, Lee. Sorry to spoil it for you there. But I also had on my list The Matrix. I don't know if anyone thinks it's maybe a bit of a curveball, but I thought the impact that had, like in terms of, forget its sequels as well, including the most recent one, but that film on its own was pretty much a perfect film, I thought, for what it was trying to do and the way that it went about it. I thought it had a great impact. It made you think about things as well. So I had a few interesting ones, and then The Two Towers was up there for me. I tried to stay away from Infinity War and Endgame, because it was too much of an easy pick. Endgame or Infinity War, like I said earlier when we were talking about the best of Marvel, it's pretty much a tie for me, but for slightly different reasons. But they are both up there for sure, is the best ever, because as we know, Endgame is that culmination of 22 films and 12 years of effort before it. So, but I think you could throw in Lord of the Rings, Empire Strikes Back. For me, The Matrix is in there as well. I could even go far as just to say, like, a few of us were talking before we started recording about Ghostbusters that's just come out, but the original Ghostbusters film, even for me, for what it was at the time when it came out, is almost like a perfect, like, horror, but light-hearted horror comedy film in a way, and it's perfect for what it is and what it does, and that was why it's become such an all-time classic for me. But I think that pretty much brings us to the end of our anniversary celebration, gentlemen. Thank you, everyone, for coming on. Thank you from me for all the support you've all given me over the last year, the continuous invitations onto the show, for accepting invitations to always be on mine. You've all been on multiple times, and I really do appreciate. You're all big influences for me, every single one of you. JD and Lubbit, is a damn shame, JD. That Dave wasn't able to make it today. So please tell him he was sorely missed.
We will.
I don't give him too much of a hard time, Lub, for missing. But damn shame you couldn't make it. I'm sure. I know that we've got stuff planned for the future as well. So so we'll all be back together again soon. But Lee, tell us, everyone at home, where we can find yourself and your podcast.
As always, you can find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, just with Lights, Camera, Rant, and even OnlyFans. Yeah, Lights, Camera, Rant right there. It's only Rant, so anywhere you can find us, but you have to
pay those bills.
Yeah, damn right. It's surprised how much people pay for feet. But no, look, man, thank you so much for inviting myself to go on for this episode, and I can't wait until we do this again in another 12 months.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're going to be on together again, aren't we, for the Acolyte?
Acolyte.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be doing that, so I can't wait to do that with you, to be fair. But thank you very much, bro. I appreciate it. Michael, tell us where we can find the amazing Star Wars.
Yeah, you can find Star Wars virtually everywhere on all social media platforms, all podcasting platforms, YouTube, Twitch, all that great stuff. So wherever you can listen to sound, you can probably find us. So look up Star Wars. Again, we're going to start doing like more monthly recaps about like what's kind of going on in the world of fandom, mostly Star Wars and Marvel. With that being said, I'm literally going to hop off right now because I got a little kid that's right off camera here that is ready for my attention. So that's what you guys have to look forward to there, Andy and Clan Brandolorian. But thank you guys so much for having me, Andy. Congratulations. And yeah, if I'm not invited for the second anniversary, we're going to have problems. I'm going to come see you.
Ooh.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks very much, buddy. Cheers.
See ya.
Michael.
Clan Brandolorian, my main man over here, my Star Wars buddy. Thank you so much for coming on. Tell us exactly where we can find all your stuff.
The name is Brandon. I go by Clan Brandolorian. You can find me on YouTube and Instagram, TikTok on the side as well. But mainly, if you want to get a hold of me, I am always open for, getting some talks going. Basically, what I try to do on my channel is talk lore, theory, Lego, and Funko. And obviously, we have the weekly podcast. And my channel, everything from Acolyte to the Rey movies and everything in between. Just like to keep it positive, like to have a nice, chill conversation and basically just have a good vibe. So that's what we do on Clan Brandolorian.
Nice. Lee, is that your dog?
Sadly, yes. Sadly,
He's trying to play it off.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
There, like, looking to the side, like...
Little pup.
Yeah. What dog?
JD, Caleb, guys, thank you so much. You know how much I love your show. No offense to everyone else, it's probably the number one show I listen to all the time on Spotify.
Wow.
And because Lee and Brandon, you guys know I listen to your show, watch it on YouTube. I try and go in when you guys go live as well, which I forgot to mention actually. Brandon, you did your first live the other day, didn't you?
Yeah.
So congratulations
Thank
on that. That was really cool. So but JD, Lub, thank you guys so much for coming on. I really do appreciate having you guys on. Tell us, whichever one of you wants to do it, where we can find
we
my
are on
Sidious.
Spotify, Apple Podcast. Our YouTube videos go up. They're not edited, so they're a little funky sometimes, but it's a live video of what we're recording there. Little clips here on TikTok, Instagram, X. We got Dune 1, Dune 2 reviewed. We got Sinestro, Core War, Green Lantern comic that dropped. We're gonna read the Dune book, and a month or two later, try to do an episode on the Dune book. But yeah,
Comparison.
Marvel, DC, Star Wars, movies, books, comics.
And you did your 2024 box office draft recently as well.
Yeah.
That was a good listen.
That was fun.
I guess with Dune 2 not having completely finished yet, it's still up in the air, is it? Who the winner of the 2023 box office is? Or is that pretty much in Dave's pocket right now?
I think Dave's down by he's down by 20 or 30 million right now. So it's coming down to the end, and Dune is slowing down. But I think he'll still
get another 20,
it's going to be in
30 mil
theaters
for sure.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It came down to the wire, though.
Yeah, it definitely has done, isn't it? So, because you got an interesting concept this year in terms of if a film's been delayed, you don't wait for it anymore. You're just wiping it off and going with another selection. So,
yeah,
who's the early front runner for the 2024 crown?
I think it's me because I got Deadpool, baby. Come on.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much the biggest film of the year, isn't it? So,
yeah.
And you need it. It's the only Marvel film of the year, for fuck's sake. So,
Pretty much.
Gentlemen, thank you all very much for coming along. I really do appreciate it. Everyone, go out there, follow all these podcasts if you're not following them. Give them all listens if you're not listening to them. They all, for their own reasons, have fantastic shows, and they're all definitely worth giving a like, a listen, and a subscribe to. So, as for the Galactic Core Podcast, if you're not following this yet, why the fuck are you not doing it? You've been here listening to my anniversary show, and you're not following me. What the fuck is your problem? Go and do it already.
Do it.
But you can find... Yeah, exactly. Do it.
Smelt the Jedi way.
Why the fuck not? I'm not a Jedi, mate. I'm a Sith. Sorry, I've got the Sith Empire tattoos on my wrist.
Branded.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Branded.
There's a reason why there's a Darth Vader helmet and lightsabers behind me.
There you go.
I'm part of the Sith. But yeah, you can find Galactic Core Podcast, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitch, and also on YouTube. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. Tell us that you're enjoying the show. It's what I love to hear. I'd love to hear the feedback from everyone and know that it's doing a good job. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. I'll be back next time. But until then...
The Force will be with you. Always.
Thanks for tuning in to the Galactic Core Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. But until next time, go get your geek on.